Hey everybody, I'd like to welcome you back to the Mental Health Detox, and you are tuned in to a three-part series, Motherhood, Maternity and Mental Health. You are clicked on the hidden gem. There's lots in store for you today. Stay tuned because there's some tips and tricks that will be shared amongst the panel with you all as how you can manage your mental health needs and also parenting challenges. So see you soon.
I would like to welcome y'all to the Mental Health Detox. Thanks for tuning in today and joining me. I have Miss Alecia Hardy here and Miss Tiffany. Tiffany, say your last name.
Wilbekin.
I promise you, I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
I bet.
And so I was like, I ain't gonna even mess up her name. I ain't gonna even do it. I be saying Wilbekin, and I can't unsay it now. I can't get it out.
Wilbekin. As my mom would say, Wilbekin to you. So that's how she let people know.
I like that. Okay. But anyway, glad to have you. So I would like to start this conversation off by just asking you ladies to just tell me a little bit about yourselves, tell me about your family, your children, and kind of, what your life is like. So whoever wants to start first, go ahead.
Miss Alecia Hardy. I've been knowing Caroline for, my oldest daughter is about to be 18. So that means...
Don't look like you got an 18-year-old.
That means probably about 17 years, right, Caroline?
Yeah.
She was a toddler, I think, when we met. So, but I have a 17-year-old, and I also have Kirsten, how old are you? 15? 15, which she'll be 16 in April. Can never keep up. So I have two teenage daughters. About me, they keep me busy. They keep me on my toes. In my spare time, you'll find me behind my computer or at my laptop right now. And right here in this very spot on my recliner doing schoolwork, I decided to go back to school and get my accounting degree with a minor in finance. So I don't know why I waited till I was almost 40, but I did. And so between two teenage daughters and me going to school, it's been a very interesting past couple of years, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Okay. Well, I'm
good for you.
I'm Tiffany Wilbekin. I have a 5-year-old daughter. Her name is Isabella. I've been knowing Caroline. How long have we been knowing each other? Like since you and Dre got together?
Yeah, that was 2017 when he and I met. So about that time.
Yeah, so 2017. So was I pregnant? Oh no, or was Bella born? Yeah, Bella was born.
I think she was fresh out.
Yeah,
she wasn't that old yet.
Straight out the moon. But so I've been knowing Caroline. I work for Navy Federal Credit Union, and I'm also a travel agent. I actually named my travel business after me and my daughter, Tiff Bella Travels. I have an active 5-year-old. She's in soccer. So I will be talking, I guess, more about the co-parenting aspect of motherhood, because I have a week on, week off co-parenting, schedule. And so, yeah, I mean, mine's may be a little bit different, but yeah. Can bring that different aspect of everything.
Between the three of us, we have an interesting mix. With you having, teenagers, Tiffany having a 5-year-old, and then myself, I got this 4-month-old baby. It's interesting to see just kind of the variation in what we are discussing and what we bring today. So let me ask y'all this, and by me being a new first-time mother, I'm just curious and just as, very, very eager to learn, but how do you all create balance? And I know Tiffany, you talking about, you have a very active, Bella's in soccer and she's doing this and you got a travel business. Like, how do you create balance with managing all of that with being a mother?
Well, because I do have a week on, week off co-parenting schedule, that's how I create. And he's 4. But the way that I I work is because of the simple fact that the weeks that I don't have Bella, I get tuned into myself. So I take that time to love up on myself. I take that time to learn more about myself. I may go to therapy, I may have therapy sessions that week. I may work out. I may do something that dives into me, and more of dive into me of the person who I was, before I was a mom, just so I replenish into myself, because if I'm not good 100%, I can't be good as a mother to her. I'm being summoned too.
No problem.
I like that, Tiffany, how you say that you take that time that you have your week off from parenting to really tune into yourself. I think I can remember when my girls were newborns, when they were young, it was a little difficult for me to find that balance in that time, because they wanted to go everywhere I wanted to go. So if I wanted to go get my nails done, they were sitting in the shopping basket at Walmart. I used to go to the nail salon at the Walmart in Roebuck. So I would have one sitting in the shopping basket in the car seat and one sitting up top while I'm getting my nails done. So it almost kind of felt like, oh my gosh, I never really had time for myself. But what I learned is, having kids with you all the time, you really have to create that space and that time for yourself. And it really depends on what works well for you. I'm not a morning person, but I don't stay up late at night either. So what I realized, if I want to try to get a workout in, the best time for me to do it is while I'm up in the mornings before I get ready for work. Even though I hate getting up, those extra 30 minutes or so early, that's kind of my time where they're still asleep to do some things for myself. Normally put a load of clothes in the wash. Because then you go to work, you work all day, you come home, you have kids with activities, whether it's homework or sports or clubs and things like that. So trying to get dinner cooked, and by that time, it's time to go to bed. I'm not old, but I act like an old lady. I try to be in bed by 10:30 at the latest. But that's what I've learned. It's just kind of trying to find that time for yourself as best you can, whether it's, and it's really centered around where you work best. I know late at night in the evenings, I'm no good to anybody. I will listen for a little bit, but then it's time for me. I'm shutting down. So I try to make that time. And even though the mornings, again, I'm not a morning person, but that's my time to get that time in for myself, whether it's prayer, meditation, and then on my lunch break. I'll normally take some time on my lunch break, and I shut down completely. And I do pretty much whatever I want. If I want to take a nap, if I want to eat, if I want to go walk. But, you just find those little pockets of time for yourself.
Yeah. And I think for me being, 4 months into this, like I'm still learning my new normal. Like not only where, it being in COVID and everything, I was learning a new normal with just working, and then we got pregnant and I was learning how to manage that. And then now the baby's here, it's just like, okay, like I got to find my rhythm, find how this is going to work out. And so I know my day, when I wake up in the morning, I try to stay in the bed till at least 6 o'clock, but I wake up about 5. And from 5 to 6, I just hold my baby. Like he sleep, but I sit there and hold him. I change him. I be kissing on him and stuff like that and breastfeeding him. And I just want this little moment of time before I get my day started just to love on him. It's what I want to do. I know every other parent that I talk to at work, they're like, Caroline, don't hold that baby, you're going to spoil him. I'm like, well, I'm finna spoil him. I'm going to spoil him. But, I just take that time to do that. And then the rest of the day is pretty much, it's given to me getting ready, going to work. And then when I come home, we got to cook, and then we got family life stuff. And then, so it's just like, if I could just get my little 1 hour one-on-one with him, then I'm good. And so, and I know me and my husband, we really try to like take that time before bedtime to just the three of us, if we just laying in the bed watching TV, but try to make that our little family time, or while I'm putting the baby to sleep, we try to do it together just so we have that togetherness. And we don't let our days get so consumed with work life and, just about us. But I have yet to figure out where in that little piece of time I'm going to fit Caroline in, as far as like doing things I like to do and getting my hair done and getting my nails done and stuff like that. So it's coming. I'm going to find it. But for right now, I'm okay with just, if I can spend some one-on-one time with my baby, then that's good for me. So, okay. Well, my next question to you all, and I know this is largely about mental health, so I do want to just kind of go in and just say, hey, what were some of the mental health challenges you faced? And Tiffany, you can bring it from the perspective of, having a younger daughter. And then Alecia, I want you to chime in, just like, what are some of the challenges you faced with having teenagers?
I can tell you that having teenagers, and we can talk about it from the aspect of social media. We did not have this as we were growing up in the 80s, 90s. But this whole social media world is really difficult to navigate through. I think a lot of times, and I don't want to sound insensitive, but even when it comes to bullying, I think even we dealt with that completely different when we were probably younger than how kids deal with it today. And so that old adage of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me is one of the biggest things that I had to erase and stop teaching my girls. Because even as an adult, I understand that words hurt me. So I can only imagine how words affect my girls, how they affect them. So I've had to work on that in my parenting. Another thing, like I said, going back to social media, just reality TV, I always say reality TV really isn't real, but it's what, and especially for teenagers, they are so impressionable that they will take something that they see on social media or TV and they think that it's normal or it's okay. So I know we've had the conversation around being toxic and what is toxic and what does toxic mean, and having this whole, well, I'm toxic, and I'm like, no, you're not. Stop saying that. So, but it really, we don't really consider how much social media affects our mental spaces and our mental health. One of the things, like I said, this whole thing about being toxic, it has really made a lot of people embrace bad behavior. It's made a lot of people, and I've seen it in my girls, embrace this negative persona, and it really it hurts them in the long run, because it's almost like you're trying to fit in instead of stand out. And so when you try to teach them and tell them this is not you, this is not how you should be, you get that it's like you come to a head, and it's always like this. It's a lot of friction and pulling and tugging between what they're seeing on social media, what friends are talking about on social media, and what you're trying to teach them from a parental aspect, and keep them rooted and grounded in certain values and ideals and things of that nature. So it's been a challenge, and COVID definitely hasn't made it any easier, how we've become so disconnected with people as well. And that's one of the things that I've been struggling with. When we shut down, I shut down. And so I really haven't gone back outside, so to speak. And I think it's been a detriment to my kids, because I'm okay with being inside doesn't mean they're okay with being inside. So they want to socialize and they want to have friends, and so it's challenging, but you figure out every day. There's no rule book to this, and you just kind of feel your way through it and figure out what works well and what doesn't work well. And going back to that whole concept of finding the balance in it all.
Yeah. I will say parenting is like on the job training. ain't no orientation, ain't no nothing. You just gonna learn as you go and figure it out as it happens. And so it's very interesting. What about some of the mental health challenges that you
I'm
had,
so
Tiffany?
sorry. I'm sorry. I was kicked out. The first mental health challenge would have to be during pregnancy. Because I was getting ready to leave to go to the Air Force. So I found out the day I was supposed to leave, to go into MEPS, that I was pregnant. And when you did everything to like lose all this weight, you get to the weight, and then it's like, oh, you're not going, you was pregnant. So that was just one of the difficult things. And then I moved right in with my daughter's father. Like we moved in and with each other. And I was experiencing verbal abuse because he was very verbally abusive. And I dealt with that, and then I dealt with like him and my sister was like not getting along either. So it was just like so much, family issues that I was dealing with. And one thing my mom used to tell me is when she was pregnant with me, she had postpartum depression. So one thing I always used to do is, as far as mentally, I was like, I don't want my baby to cry all the time. So for work, I would be like super active or sing at the top of my lungs. And I was so hyper, which I have probably one of the reasons I have such a hyper baby, that when I got home, I tried not to go into those feelings. So I annoyed my feelings. So then when she got here, I would say, I always thought postpartum depression was that you didn't connect with the baby. And so I automatically connected to my baby. And it was honestly, years later, I saw an episode of Blackish, and they was talking about postpartum depression. And I had every other sign of postpartum depression except for the one that I was dealing with my baby. Like no connection to your baby. And I actually ended up going to therapy. I was going to therapy for, something else. Cause I wasn't verbal. I was with the narcissist. And so I remember one day at work, I just went to the bathroom and I was just crying, and I just could not stop crying. And I'm like, what is going on with me? And a friend at the time had mentioned how my job has a therapist, on site, and we can see the therapist during our lunch break or, stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? It's free, let me see. And when I started going to therapy, and started finding out about myself, and eventually like actually leaving her dad, it started getting better for me, like so much better. Now I did have my challenges along the way, because actually last year was our first year where I was just like, I'm gonna go through mediation with like go through the court system and everything with him. And funny, in the court of law of Florida, whoever makes the most money has to, even if you do 50-50, has to pay child support. So I actually pay child support to him. Yes. So, but mentally, the way it worked out better for me is because now everything far as schooling, medical fields, like he has to go have. And that was the thing. He would pick and choose when he wanted to go have. And once the court got involved and said, this is what you have to do legally, it helped the mental block that was still kind of like dragging me down just a little bit on the way. Kind of feel like I talked around in circles, but I hope that answers it the best way I could.
I just really want to ask this, and I don't know if you can speak on it, but a part of your story was you had high hopes of going to the Air Force, having a career, and things of that nature, and then finding out you were pregnant. So was this something that you were expecting, or completely I'm assuming that it was completely unexpected for you? Did you
It was
have
unexpected.
And so going through everything that you went through from that process, did you ever have to work out feelings of guilt or anger or bitterness, anything like that?
And to be honest, like I kind of recently had like a I journal a lot. The one thing that my therapist, said was for me to journal a lot. Um, I knew it's crazy because I knew the day I got pregnant because I was like, I think I should take a plan B. Like he even recommended, and I was like, no, because I had my app. I was like, I think I should be good. And I think it was like on the last day or whatever. So of course, you should have took a plan B and you should have. And I was disappointed in myself, because I did put myself in that situation. I was hard on myself, I was this close. Like I worked so hard to lose that weight. Like I had I started a business around it, like called No Carbs by Tea, because I was helping other people lose weight at that time. And it was just like I was there that day to leave, and you're telling me I'm pregnant, and so that was too like I was dealing with mentally because I worked, I was supposed to start this career. Now I'm back here in Pensacola. I don't have no job. And I'm like, what in the world am I going to do? And one thing I say about my daughter is she's such a blessing because I was before her, I was a horrible worker. Like I was good at my job, but I was kind of like a horrible worker. And I had that drive. Like my daughter is 5. I have been promoted 3 times. I had probably about 5 raises, if not 6 by now. I've got won awards at my job. So I'm such a much better worker because her. Now, not granted that the military wouldn't have, put that discipline into me, but I have something I'm living for and I have to work for. So that's a blessing too. And it took me a while to like, hey, like, okay, because I was disappointed in myself, but it was like, Lord, you changed it and you saw this fit for me. And now granted, I'm not with her dad. I'm, not married or whatever, but my child brings me so much joy. Like I just closed on a house. I'm doing stuff now that I didn't, imagine. And then I also have the freedom to do it because I would have still been in the military by now. I had 6, I was going to sign for 6 years. I'm not, maybe it wasn't this year or it probably was last year. I forgave myself because I was holding it on like, but if this, and I forgave myself. And once I forgave myself, like it's okay because you're still blessed. You're still making it. God's still pushing you through. And once I got through that mentally and that block, because I felt like sometimes I had that block, like, oh my gosh, I could have been doing this and doing that. But my daughter brings me so much joy. So like one thing about a child, like sometimes I go through stuff like, I feel like I've never been loved right in a relationship or, I never felt that love, but your child, oh my gosh, that unconditional love is just like, you love me just because I'm mommy. And it's just like, when she sees me, when I picked her up from her grandparents yesterday. And she didn't realize it was me because I had a hat on and I had the mask. And I was like, hey, Bella. And then she just lit up, mommy, and just ran all body in full force into me. And then she was like, I'm so happy to see you. I was sad. I said, why were you sad? She said, because I missed you. And I was just like, I missed you too. And it's just like that love from your child is just so unconditional and so real. Like you don't get that from anybody else.
It's literally, from God, I can say,
on earth.
It's powerful. And I love how you spoke on that. It made you a better worker. I think our children bring out the best in us, and we don't realize how big of a blessing they are sometimes in doing that. Because I can say the same. Before I had kids, I was just living life, doing whatever I wanted to do. But when I had kids, I knew that it was no longer about me. So I had to push through whatever I was feeling, push through whatever I was going through to make sure that they were taken care of. But it's that unconditional love that's just, it's amazing. I don't have another word to say other than amazing. When somebody looks up at you and they just smile, or that laugh, or that hug, that kiss, it's an amazing feeling. Yeah. It really is.
Is that somebody it's like, it's not about me anymore. It's somebody that I gotta live for. I gotta work for. Like, you depend on me. Like, I'm out here. You get sick, I'm the one taking off. You know, like, I can't send you to school, or, you know, you need clothes, I'm the one. And it's just that somebody else you have to live for and work for. So
yeah. But I
like how y'all mentioned that. How go ahead, Alecia.
No, go ahead, Carolyn.
I was saying that I love how y'all mentioned just how, you know, that love, and like the craziest thing happened with AJ, with him being 4 months. But the other day when I got home, he was with my mom, and he like reached for me, and I was just like, you know, he was just like, you know, I was just like, oh my God, but he know who I am, you know. And so just that little subtle, you know, little thing, I was just like, oh my God, it just renewed my whole soul, you know. So if I ever felt like, what I'm feeling, if I was feeling down, or if it was a bad day, I was like, my baby just reached for me. Like, he loved me, he need me. So yeah, I got to experience that feeling too. And it's amazing. It really is.
The military aspect, it's funny how we're also connected, and I don't even know you, Tiffany, but that's why I wanted to ask that question. I actually, because I told you I was living crazy before I had my kids. And I know there was this pressure from my parents to go to school, get an education, get a good job, and be successful. That was my parents' dream for me. And I did everything but that, right? So I actually went to the reserves. I was in the Navy Reserves. And that was one of the things. I had literally just had my oldest daughter, and my unit was getting deployed. So I missed our first deployment. And I just know that guilt that I felt, feeling like I was letting my my people down, not going on deployment with them. But also I felt guilty for even wanting to go, being that I got a newborn baby at home that needs me. So it was, I can relate. And that's why I wanted to ask you, did you feel any type of guilt or some kind of way? Because I know I did, being that it was just like, I'm in the military. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be with, you know, my shipmates. We're supposed to be in Iraq together. But then it's just like, but you're crazy. You got a newborn baby. You don't need to be over there putting yourself in harm's way and possibly never coming home to raise her and love on her. So it was a huge internal conflict with the military, but we made it through.
Did you forgive yourself?
I did. I had to, because it was eating me alive. And I don't know, Carolyn can probably attest to this. I'm literally two different people from that time when I had small children and was getting out of the military and kind of overcoming some stuff in my personal life, to who I am now. Like, if you saw me on Facebook, let's just say 10 years ago, I know that seems like a long time, but everything was F this, middle finger up, FTS, y'all some B's. Y'all, it was crazy. I hate everybody. And now you look at my post and it's just like, yes, there is hope. If only you believe. It's crazy.
And Facebook have a way of humbling you too. Like the stuff you wrote about 10 years ago, you're like, oh Lord, I was really out here.
They would definitely show you.
I look back and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I was really in a bad place. I was angry. I was bitter. And then it didn't help because me and the kids' dad, we were splitting up during that time. So I felt like I was losing a lot. I felt like I had lost my relationship. I felt like I had lost my career in the military. I felt like, and then I literally did lose my job. I had lost a job. And so it was just a lot of loss all at one time. And then trying to chart my own path and territory as well. So there was a lot of fear, a lot of insecurity, a lot of feelings like I was not good enough to be their parent because I didn't have, I didn't feel like I had it together. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have a job at the time. I had just lost my career in the military because I was out at that point. I had lost my relationship. I'm trying to find a new apartment and a place to stay. So I got the first place I could, and it wasn't that great. So my kids feeling like they couldn't go outside to play because where I was staying at the time, I felt like, nah, it's ghetto, it's ratchet. Somebody might shoot my child accidentally or something like that. So all those feelings compounded at once for me. And it was a really, really tough place. So I realized what I did in the process. I wasn't a good parent to my girls. I overcompensated from working 2 jobs at the time. So I worked a full-time job and a part-time job. My kids spent a lot of time with their grandmother and away from home. And what I would do, whatever they wanted, I would buy it. If they want their hair done, I would get their hair done. If they wanted whatever. And of course, I would try to take them on trips and do stuff, but it wasn't what they needed at the time. I feel like now that they're older, now that I'm older, I realize that I should have been more present with them and loving on them because I didn't teach my kids how to wash dishes. I didn't teach my kids how to cook. I didn't teach my kids how to fold clothes. And so now it's almost like trying to teach that when they're teenagers and they care nothing about it is a huge challenge because they're like, well, I don't want to do that. And then I have my way of wanting to do stuff and I want it done my way. I can be very selfish at times and I'm working through that. But I want the towels folded a certain way. And so if they don't fold them exactly how I want them, my toxic behavior is I get an attitude. Or, you know, I go back behind them and I redo what I just asked them to do. And so I've had to go to therapy myself and work through that. I love my therapist, Miss Tammy Park. Shout out, shameless plug. But I love her because she helped me understand that's what I was doing. She helped me understand that I overcompensated by working and giving them things. But just because I was giving them things was not necessarily showing them love. It was my way of thinking that I was loving on them, but it wasn't actually what they may have needed at that time, which was the actual time in the home, the actual conversations, the actual affection. And even now, as me and my daughters work through certain situations, that always comes back to the forefront. And it's always at the core of how I try to talk with them. And I always have to tell myself, take a step back, Alecia. Ask yourself, are you listening? Are you, judging? What are you doing? So a lot of times when I'm angry about something, upset about something, I have to take that step back and say, I don't want to talk about it right now because I don't want to lash out in a way that is not helpful or not good. And I know I have that bad habit of doing that. So, but yes, to answer your question, I had to forgive myself.
Have you thought about doing, because they're of age, like doing family therapy?
Oh, absolutely. My oldest daughter looks at me crazy every time I tell her that we should do therapy together. She always look at me like, I don't want to do that. I don't see the point of doing it. And I tell her all the time, like, it's good. It'll be fun. It'll be great. She just look at me like, I don't want to do that. But I tell her if she doesn't want to do it as a family, maybe she should do it, individually, because I believe in therapy. I swear by it. And then I also, something that I never thought about, but now I do, is medicine. And I'm not ashamed to say that I literally have to take anti-anxiety and antidepressant medication to help me kind of stay sane and stable. So I'm a fan of both. And I think you have to make that decision for you, but it takes a lot of prayer, and it does take therapy to get to that point to make that decision.
And that reminded me of the day that I chose to end the relationship with my daughter's father. I had requested him to go to, counseling, and he always said no. And one day, what made me decide was, I said, I don't want my daughter to think that this is what love is supposed to be like. And so that's the day I had decided to leave her dad. Like, I'm leaving, I'm moving out and stuff like that. I don't know what it was that you said that made me, remember that, but I was just like, let me bring that up, because that's the day when I was just like, I don't want it. It's so crazy. I love my daughter so much more than I was loving myself at that time. Like, I don't want her to think that this is the type of love that she's supposed to have. So I have to leave this relationship. So this is not what she's looking for in the end. Because I could have stayed in a relationship, but it wasn't going to do nothing for me. I was such in a dark place. And I remember, like, I can, like, it's like now that you're out the dark place, like, you can look and be like, I remember that dark hole. I'm never going back down that dark hole again. So
to kind of wrap it up a little bit, but what would be some tips that you would share with other mothers who may be at that same stage in motherhood that you all are at? What would you tell them?
That, as far as when I was in a dark place during motherhood?
No, kind of where you are now with where you're at now.
Okay, well, I guess let me summarize where I'm at now. Now I am 100% happy. I know who I am. I love myself. I'm very into self-care, whether it's massages, therapy, getting my toes done. Granted, my hair is not done right now, but, getting my hair done and taking care of me. Because I know if I invest in myself and I work on myself, I'm going to be a 100% better mother to my child. And I made a rule a long time ago, because, we do get so invested. We want to give our child the best. So my rule is, for every 2 gifts that I get my child, like if I'm going shopping, I remember to get myself 1. So for every 2 things that if I'm at the store and I buy her 2 things, make sure I get myself 1. So I'm not forgetting out on loving myself as well too. Because you can't keep on pouring into a cup and you empty. So another thing too is, a lot of everything that I do is in my source and faith in God. It's been, plenty of situations where I just had to, like, all right, God, what it is that you need me to do. Because even when I talked about the whole child support thing, I always knew that I made more than my daughter's father. I always knew the Florida law was like, whoever makes the most money will, end up paying child support. So when things happened, it was kind of like I served him, but I knew it was going to come back on me. But he ended up actually serving me and petitioning me. And so we had to go through the whole thing. But everything that you're going through now, whether you think it's bad, because I knew during that situation, it was hell. But I promise you believe in God, the outcome is going to be better, because the outcome is definitely better. And not trying to shit on her dad so much, but like what he thought would have been my downfall. Now look, I've got another raise at work. I got an award at work, and now we're living in our house. Like, and the sad part is just like, he just ended up dealing with attitude from her because she wanted to be here at her new house and, not at, his house, whatever. So, just know, like, whatever you're going through now, make sure you still take time for you. Pray, get a therapist, journal. Sometimes even go back to those journals like a year or so later to see where you at, and be like, and give yourself grace and mercy for how far you come. And if you go back to the journal and you feel like you're in the same place, then you need to, like, hey, we need to dive into this in therapy or whatever. But just know what you're going through now It's not going to last it's not going to be there always, and you will get through it. And being a mom and being I don't want to say a great mom, but just being a mom is making sure you take care of yourself, but also involving your child's life. Talk to them. Like, I talk to my child, like, talk to them, go on trips with them, like, certain things that you do with them. Like, if you have a nighttime routine, they're going to expect that. Do other things with them, show them different things. My daughter has this thing now that I know she's having a good time, and I'm like across the room, she's gonna give me a thumbs up, like, okay, we're having, such a good time. Or she'll be like, this was the best day ever, mommy. And so at 5, she's so impressionable. Yeah, the impressionable. Like, you have to, these are the times you have to, get into their lives and know, because they're thinking, and if they're behaving, know your child too, because once their behavior starts changing, you have to know, like, okay, what is this? Why? What is, like, what's going on? Why is this? So I think that's something that we're dealing with, but I don't want to say we're dealing with now with my daughter, because her dad and his wife they're expecting a baby, so he's getting behavior issues from her, where I'm not getting that. But I also know at my home it's just me and her. And so with him and his house is like 4 other kids. So it'll be 5 kids there. So, she's, not number one. So just, also pay attention to your child. If somebody says something about their behavior, look, okay, all right, what's different? What changed? What, so I guess that's what I would say.
Okay. And what about you, Miss Alecia?
I'm going to say, because I'm almost to the end, y'all. And it has not been an easy road. I will say self-care is most definitely important. You have to find that time to love on yourself, to take care of yourself, to de-stress. We are all living in a world where there's so much pressure on each and every one of us. Pressure to just simply survive from day to day. And you have to take that time out to just recharge sometimes. But I can say, for new mothers, enjoy every minute, every second of being a new mother and everything that comes with it. Because I know this sounds crazy to say, but your kids grow up, and you have to learn how to enjoy every phase of their growth. So when they're newborn and they're sweet, those crazy sleeping habits and the explosive poops and all of that stuff, you have to enjoy it for what it is. I have been thrown up on, pooped on, everything you can imagine. But looking at it now that my daughter is almost 18, every time I see somebody with a newborn baby, I'm like, oh, I miss that. So really just enjoy every phase of your kid or of your child growing up. Be there. Just be there for everything, because one thing that we cannot get back, and it's not on our side, is time. You never know when your time is up. So you want to make as many memories as possible. As adults, we're not living as long as our parents lived. As children, our children aren't living as long as we would expect them to live. It's more parents burying children now than it should be. And so you really have to make those memories, because sometimes it's the memories that hold you, and it's the memories that get you through those difficult periods of parenting. I can always look back and laugh at different little aspects of what the girls did then, and it gets me through those hard times. It gets me through those times when I'm about ready to give up. But looking back at the memories that I've had with them, that helps a lot. I would also just say, there's no rule book, there's no guidebook, there's nothing as to how to be a good parent. A lot of times what we do, we take the experiences of our parents, whether they were good or bad, and we project them on our kids and our parenting styles. But what you just have to be open to try new things, try new ways. And no child, if you have multiple children, no child is ever going to be alike. My children are honestly like night and day. So I have one that I can look at the wrong way and she begins to cry. And then I have one that I almost have to choke before she gets the message that I'm not playing. So your kids, they're not going to be the same, and they require different levels of love. They require different amounts of time. And it's a challenge because they're always going to feel like, if you have multiples, I'll tell you this now, they're always going to feel like, oh, that's your favorite, or she's your favorite. You favor them more than you do me. And that's not the case. You just have to understand that each child requires something different of you because they're not identical. And then I guess lastly, I would just say, don't be too hard on yourself. Find your, and I'll say this, know and understand yourself as a person. In order to be a good parent, you have to know and understand yourself. Know and understand your triggers, your boundaries, what affects you and how it affects you. How do you respond to stressful situations and things of that nature? You have to know yourself in order to be able to be an effective parent, but also know your children, what triggers them, what makes them emotional, what makes them tick, what motivates them. So, and just don't be too hard on yourself in the process. You can only do the best you can do through prayer, faith, and a lot of love. Everything will work out just fine. And I guess that's the best advice I could give to a new mom or any mom.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Y'all both shared some hidden gems.
What I guess, Alecia, like, because I only have a 5-year-old and you have teenagers, what's something I should like be looking forward to? Because you said something about I know I got kicked off for like social media. And I know social media is going to, by the time I allow her to get on social media, it may not even be Instagram or Facebook like that anymore. So like, what is something that you would give advice to me for when she gets in that teenager preteen phase?
I would say set rules, set boundaries, and let her know that you will be monitoring what she does on social media. That is huge. The rules, boundaries, and monitoring. I would also check in with her self-esteem. A lot of times, because adults do it too, we live for likes and loves on Facebook. We live for the reaction. And if you don't get a certain reaction, it kind of makes you feel some kind of way as an adult. Well, it's amplified as a teenager or as a young adult, honestly. So just being mindful of what she's doing on social media and things of that nature, just checking in periodically. My kids, my oldest daughter, she actually deleted me, I think, but we're going to fix that in a minute. And my youngest is threatening to send me to Facebook jail, but I've been friends with them, so I scroll through their page all the time. Like, and if I see something that I deem inappropriate, we have that conversation as to why I feel it's inappropriate, and I make them take it down. I also try to have them take periods off of social media where it's not something that they're doing constantly, because you need that break. You need that time away from it to unplug and just kind of focus on yourself. So
thank you all for joining us on part 1 of the Motherhood, Maternity, and Mental Health discussion. Special thank yous to Miss Tiffany Wilbekin and Alecia Hardy for joining me in that discussion. I hope you were able to find something enlightening and informative from that interview. Remember to come back to the Mental Health Detox, because we will be launching episode 2 with another set of moms about motherhood, maternity, and mental health. See you all next time.